My guest today is, I have friends in media that I don't often. I'm bringing them in from out of the cold, bring them onto the pod. This guy's got a show on MSNBC, if you can believe it. We just turned off the air conditioner, so you may not recognize him. You know MSNBC, it's the one where people talk in a very moralistic way. They do long pauses, and you can hear the air conditioner in the background.
The thing about authoritarianism.
That's how dramatic this is. And it's 5 o'clock, your show? 6 o'clock?
6 Eastern.
6 Eastern. It's called The Beat, which is a double entendre. We'll get into it. It's a double entendre about hip. The guy likes hip hop.
The whole Wu-Tang is behind me. Yeah. Bong, bong, bong. And this is The Beat.
Ari Melber. Also, he's got a Substack, which surprised me. I'm assuming it's at Ari Melber. What else? You do playlists? What do you do? What do you got?
I release playlists sometimes. I have a Substack, Ari Melber, which discusses both society and news, but also a lot of music and culture. I know you like that.
Guys, if there's one thing I love, it's when news people show me their colorful side. What are you like when the cameras are off, news person? This is really helping with your credibility. When you tell me what you went salsa dancing this weekend, give me a little bit of your personality when you toss to the next hour's host, and I see that natural chemistry you guys have that you can't fake it, guys. It can only comes if it's real.
And not just 6 p.m. Eastern. We're doing a lot on YouTube, so you can go to msnbc.com/Ari, A-R-I, and we have a whole YouTube playlist of our news.
Exclusives?
We also do exclusives, yeah.
On YouTube?
Yeah.
Is MSNBC doing a paywall soon? Can you talk about it?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
It's not a terrible idea because he's direct to consumer, but not that I know of. But for example, if I sat down with Lil Baby.
How are you doing? I'm all right.
5 minutes of that are on the TV show. The other half an hour is the YouTube exclusive. That's where you'd see it. The whole thing did not air on TV.
Would you have Dub Baby on?
Probably not right now.
Okay. When? If not right now, when?
That's a very Maimonides attitude for interviewing Dub Baby.
Who?
Maimonides.
See, this is where this is what I want from a news guy. Say shit, use terms I don't understand.
He was a rabbinical scholar, and he famously said, if you don't know the name, you'll know the quote. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? People feel like that when you're alone or the world's out to get you. If you've ever
been on Instagram, that's pretty much the motto.
But if I am for myself alone, who am I?
Mm.
And then he says, with regard to standing up for anything you might have to stand up for, and if not me, who? And if not now, when?
Is that where that phrase is from?
Yes. So
Maimonides?
Maimonides, yeah.
Maimonides. Okay.
So, but it is from its time, and the Jews were a tiny minority dealing with oppression, as so many peoples do, but it's spread, and so I think there's no better way to apply that than the right media cycle to interview DaBaby.
Ari Melber did something, guys, that one of the reasons I brought him here is because he taught me how to read. Now, that sounds sort of more heroic than it is. When I say he taught me how to read, he taught me how to read. You taught me how to quickly distill information from a news article. Will you please describe the Melber system as it's known on your YouTube channel?
You're talking about when we discuss speed reading?
Yes.
So speed reading is an actual thing.
Right.
It's a discipline that has been developed. And
do you do it? Are you?
I do. I use it.
Okay.
Someone else came up with it. I don't remember the name, but there's whole guidance.
And you wear a body cam when it's a whole thing. You don't use it often. You started wearing a body cam because you were using it too liberally, and a lot of people were getting hurt.
Wow.
Go on.
I guess regular listeners know how to take your deadpan.
It's not. Again, I'm smiling. This is what people don't understand about me. I'm smiling right now. You guys call it deadpan. Smiling. I gave it a little lilt. It's comedy. Go on.
The way we are generally taught to read in the West and in the education system is at one speed. In fact, many people listening to this would say, well, I didn't know there were other speeds available.
Mm-hmm.
But reading for information rather than pleasure, so let's get that up front. You're reading, a letter comes in the mail, and it says, you have a long-lost relative. There's an inheritance that will be granted to you. Read this letter to learn how to get it.
I would pleasure myself to that. Go on.
Speed reading is the idea that you should obviously read that slowly and more carefully, and perhaps even more than once. That's at the highest level.
Yes.
Versus an article that you know you may not finish, where you are looking to get certain information. And so you can bounce through reading speeds. So instead of thinking of nonfiction reading as one speed, and then when you get bored or tired or busy, you stop, which is really how a lot of people do it, that's a very inefficient way to drive. And you can think of it more as 3 or 5 speeds. I don't think there's 20 speeds. People do it different ways. So, for example, if I'm preparing for covering something tonight and Putin and Trump have a press conference and I'm reading through coverage of it, the first paragraph, which is almost always the setup, I can skip right through that. The analyst quote from the New York Times, if you trust the New York Times to pick their analysts, you don't need to read that extra half sentence that says
of who they are.
University of Oxford and da-da-da, and wrote a book about, you can jump past that most of the time. Well, if you jump past a third of the gunk in there, you will read a third more stuff that's probably more relevant to you.
Where's the action? I remember you broke down where the good stuff. So the first one is like hey.
In the news, it's easy. In the news, the action is whatever's new. So if you've read 80 articles about Epstein or gone through 80 posts or however
minimum,
you know a lot of background.
You still don't know.
So when it starts talking about the Florida deal they cut the first time and that he died mysteriously in prison, and you know about that. So very quickly, it's personal to you, but you choose as soon as you see something peripheral.
It's very personal to me. Go on.
Then you can jump forward, or like I said, read slower or faster. In other words, you can whip through that and be like, oh yeah, da-da-da-da, and you're half reading it, but you're whipping through it, which is very different than the inheritance letter about your actual life.
It's funny because I feel like I'm being disrespectful or flippant or sort of ignorant in that. But you're absolutely right, and I've used the system many times. Thank you. But it does feel like, am I being? I don't know. Do you know? It just feels like, am I not cleaning thoroughly? Do you know what I mean? Am I just like?
Well, what you're talking about is something that I know you care about.
Go on.
Which
Jeffrey Epstein, Epstein's Island, the plane. Why was Chris Tucker on it? I don't know why Chris Tucker was on the plane, guys. I don't know. I know the guy a little bit.
You're talking about the emotional resonance behind the thing you're doing, and so you might feel, as someone who does care about being informed or being studious, that you need to have some fidelity, some level of attention or process when you're reading something. And I get that. A lot of people don't have that. I mean, book reading is crashing in the West. People aren't reading books on their own anymore.
Yeah. Women do, but no real man would ever read a book. I think we can all agree on that. All right, the thing that we also talk about when we have lunch once, and you invited me to dinner, I couldn't go because I got invited to a Queens of the Stone Age concert, and parking tickets were free. Parking at the Forum was $80.
$80.
That's
a ticket right there.
Yep. And I handed the money to the parking guy, which, by the way, wasn't near the Forum. It was by the football stadium. Handed the guy the $80, and I said, "You're never going to see me again. This is my last concert." Wow. And I intend to stand by that. We often talk about news credibility. You and I do, or at least I do. I don't know if you're listening. News credibility, and to the hip hop references, all that stuff that I make fun of you about. Explain to me what your approach to all of this sort of the credibility crash of the news, or people's perceived credibility crash, because I think it's largely unwarranted. I think people pick one thing that they ended up, the famous one being the Iraq War, New York Times, all that stuff. How do you defend news?
Big question.
Maybe too hard. I mean, I think it's called journalism.
There's journalism, yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
Wow.
This is not. Now the teacher becomes the student. This is the Neal Brennan method. It's behind the paywall. Go on.
the way I think about it daily is, what evidence am I showing people, and how clear can I be about the evidence and sources we've used to present this information so that they might make up their own mind. So it's both what you do and what you don't do. I know you love and have endorsed everything that Ye has ever said.
I won't call him Ye.
And
I refuse.
Would you call Muhammad Ali by his name?
I would call Cassius Clay, when he changed to Muhammad Ali, I would call him Muhammad Ali. If he changed it again, I'm done.
That's it.
You have a one. You get one change.
Okay.
So I did Yeezy. I did Yeezy.
What about people who get divorced and remarried repeatedly and their last name keeps changing?
I still call my sisters by Brennan.
Yeah.
They can't keep a husband. A lot of these sisters.
So as Ye said, everything I'm not made me everything I am.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
One of my least favorite hip hop defenses. Go on.
So
Jay-Z, if I hadn't dealt drugs, then I couldn't write songs about dealing drugs. Or you could just not deal drugs.
Well, but I think everything I'm not means what you choose not to do when you have a position of influence is as important as what you choose to do. If you were alone in a desert, it might not matter what you say. So the question of credibility also goes to what we don't do. I try not to brainwash, over-polarize, over-opinion. There's a place for that.
Well, that's what I'm curious about.
I think by not doing that, you can build the credibility of the hour, because someone goes, wait, even if that information is true, did you pick these 4 pieces of information because you're truly back end trying to convince me of something? And I would say, no. I get why you're skeptical of that. Let me work with my team to present this to you nightly. We do it live every night. You can't really fake that. I mean, at a certain point, it's like me talking with this stuff every night live, right? If they catch you slipping, like, you're live. So I'm presenting this to you not because there's a secret agenda that by minute 37, I'm going to convince you.
It's truly what you think is important.
Yes, and it's truly the evidence we have. And so I've even had it. I'll stay on Epstein because I think it's of interest to many people, and probably
it's all I care about.
Your audience. No, I'm kidding. Who knows? We don't know.
No one knows. No one knows.
We don't know. But it's been a big topic, and so I was discussing it with someone because I have interviewed a lot of people around that story, and I have covered a bunch of it. And someone was saying he clearly must have been killed in prison. And I said, well, here's what we know. And I did the breakdown. There was an incentive, a motive to kill him. He was already supposed to be under special protection. He was the most notorious defendant in the country at the time.
Had attempted once already.
With no clear second. And there were multiple protocols broken that night, and then they lost the clear video that would have showed whether, if you had the accurate video, whether he went in. I said, so that's very suspicious, and you rarely can trust the government to investigate itself. Blah, 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 blah. So I went to the end, and they said, oh, so you're saying he was killed? And I said, no, that's not at all what I'm saying. I'm giving you an evidence-based view of why there are more questions, that this is more of a concern than some random thing where someone very clearly just died in a certain way, or you have the death on video, or they died in a hospital and there were multiple witnesses and you don't think all the nurses are in on the conspiracy. This wasn't that. This has a lot of credibility questions that one would investigate. But it was interesting to me that someone hearing the evidence laid out was like, oh, so then X or Y. And what I would tell the viewers is, on this one, we don't have X or Y.
Yeah.
I have more questions about whether it is Y.
Door
number 2, but yeah.
Does it give you pause that something like everything is open to the shadow of a doubt has never been bigger about kind of everything. You can get counterfactuals, you can get other video, other points of view. The Epstein thing being, I think the what's funny watching Republicans sort of get hoisted on their own petards is like they endorsed a paranoid worldview, especially in the last 5 to 10 years. And now they're getting inundated with suspicion because they created a culture of suspicion of especially liberal policies. Does that give you pause? Like, this is not good.
Well, it's certainly not good for a cohesive society. And
well, then don't worry about it.
So it just depends if by good we mean that we can have large-scale societal interaction with shared reality and then try to reason through communal decisions, which is the foundation of Western democracy, which may not endure. It was not the dominant government system in the world.
It's a new idea.
It's a relatively new idea.
In terms of world history?
Then yes, it's a big problem with that. And so if you look at the scholarship on this, there is a lot of evidence that what we might measure as a certain minimal level of communal trust is essential to these large-scale systems. So Francis Fukuyama has a book called Trust. Yuval Harari writes about this in terms of which societies tend to reason their way through better. And by better, we mean that we have less random violence, we have less disruption of the social order, that we have the time and space to do progress in technology, which often means, for example, that you can beat infant mortality, or you don't have the government causing famines as they did in the leftist Chinese Mao era, that you can get past certain things. There's still going to be problems in life, but there's a bunch of stuff you could clear out when you have that requisite level of trust. And if you lose that, you tend to get autocratic or strong man, strong person leaders, or you have a total breakdown. I mean, you have countries in the world that have completely disintegrated, and you just kind of then go back to what? I mean, go look at what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's warlords, it's local violence and systems, it's bartering across geography. It looks like more like 500 plus years ago. We go, oh, we don't go over there, and they don't come over here, and that's the best we can do. And then sooner or later we have another war.
Yeah, it seems like you have to explain first principles to people now. Like, no, wait. If this happens, it's going to be really bad. But people are so angry about misinformation, just stuff that's not, that they conflate into serious crimes or issues or whatever that are just not.
Yeah, and we can also have understanding or empathy for the level at which someone's considering that decision. In other words, you and I are talking about it at that altitude. Mm-hmm. Someone who is on a ranch and their neighbor is 30 miles away, and there's no police to protect them.
Yeah,
they have their own protection, or they're chancing it, and they're not really thinking about everything that's everywhere else, right? Yep. And that's okay. I understand that perspective, especially in the short term. They're like, I'm trying to work, trying to go check to check. I'm trying to take care of my family. You're talking about over there. Like, fine. That's fine. I think if you're in other situations, and that's why it's funny, this term globalist, right, is generally very derogatory. Sometimes it's a stand-in for hate. But also there are people who are living...
All the times, it's the membership program of the Hyatt Hotel brand. Literally, globalist is the highest you can get in the Hyatt Rewards program. It's insane.
But there are class and opportunity differences where some people are bopping around at different capitals with their passport and their money, and other people, a lot of people, are living in...
Most people. Almost everybody.
One place. So talking about that day to day is not as relevant and doesn't relate. I think that's so oftentimes under the information debates is like, what do we mean by this? What do we mean by better? And which groups are we talking about?
Yeah, you know? I just don't want to live in Mad Max. Call me old fashioned. I just don't want to live.
I get it.
Well, okay. Well, what do you make of? So you just try to present the information you have. Do you have much? I don't like fortune telling on networks. I don't like too much opinion, and I don't like fortune telling. Do you? You have autonomy of your show, or somewhat, or a good amount of autonomy where you can say, like, I don't want to have, like, what can we expect in the next few days? Are the walls closing in?
Well, look, there's more than one way to tell a story. We have editorial freedom, which I greatly value. I have certain rules. I mean, when I started the show, The Beat with Ari Melber, we wrote a handbook. So we have news standards practices for the whole place, right? When we check a source, what's reportable?
This is from MSNBC.
Yeah, that's from NBC.
From the lawyers.
Yeah, from NBC standards, and that's a good thing. And while I think the internet's great because I'm on it plenty and listen to a lot of stuff, you can tell sometimes when you see a presentation online or a podcast convo, and if it's just a chat, it's a chat. But you realize after listening to half an hour of it, nobody checked anything, or at the end someone's like, oh, we're going to Google this. Oh, it's a little different than we said. Oh, whatever. Yeah. And you're like, well, we try to do that before we ever hit the mic.
Yeah.
You know? But not all podcasts are
and it's
fact
also
check for news.
I know. I mean, that's fun. And that's what makes them popular.
Sure. And labeling matters. So if you, like Star Wars is already popular. I was just rewatching Last Jedi. But if it was put on.
Which one is that? Is that the Mark Hamill ones?
Yeah, Mark Hamill's in there a lot, but he's like Unk.
Oh,
we're not doing this anymore, and they never explain. He's not dead. No, I don't think he's dead. No, there are other. There's a Yoda hologram. Hamill's like, I'm over this. We're not doing it. I gave up.
Who's the star of the movie? Hayden. What's his
Man,
name?
I don't know these actors' names.
He's old, guys. Ari Melber is officially
I
old.
enjoyed the fiction.
Is
I didn't look them all
Natalie
up.
Portman? Remember that young
No,
lady,
no.
Natalie
It's Last
Portman?
Jedi's like
I don't. You think again? I do one name change. I did the first 3 Star Wars.
Yep.
I saw Revenge.
It's not
of the
the 3
Sith,
prequels.
And I was like, I don't need to keep
It's,
doing this.
yeah, it's not the prequels. It's the later Disney.
Even
like
calling them prequels is a disrespect to what I did, to the amount of attention and energy
I get
I
it.
gave it. And now
I
it's
get
like,
it.
oh, what turns out that wasn't the part of the story. Shut the fuck up. Anyhow, and you watch all the Disney Plus. You watch all the series.
Why did this come up? Now I forget what I was saying.
You were look. If you don't know, I don't know. I'm not. Some of them fact check.
Oh, I got it. Last Jedi.
Popularity.
Yep.
People don't want
I got
fact
it.
checking.
So Last Jedi is
People don't want to think vaxes work, so because then they have to get vaccinated.
it's an enjoyable film to watch, and you know it's fiction.
Mm-hmm.
If you put it on the news and said this is happening tonight and convinced some people that it was real, it would be even more intense. Think about the stakes of that happening on Earth.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of it's labeling. No one's saying, I practice First Amendment law. I litigated in the United States court system to defend people's right to say basically anything as long as it did not cause immediate violence or harm. That's the standard under U.S. law. That's where I come from, okay? Free speech. And I've actually done the work. No one's saying we shouldn't have the speech. It's just you might want to label it fiction or chat or questions rather than what I think is happening today, which is there's a decline of the traditional media for many understandable reasons, but then people are filling it with like cartoons and being like, no, Tom and Jerry are real. I saw it.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And that doesn't mean we should ban Tom and Jerry.
I'm not so sure. Here's a question that might be you may not want to answer. Do you occasionally enjoy it when news organizations get sued?
Enjoy it.
Not enjoy it, but you're a lawyer, right? Like Star Jones, you're a lawyer. And do you enjoy? Not enjoy, but yeah, obviously, the voting machine people winning the suit was like satisfying.
Yeah, Dominion sued
I
Fox.
personally, from the outside in, even when Trump sues people, if they did lie,
Yeah.
I do support Trump in that case. I don't like him, didn't vote for him. I do support a good lawsuit if it is liable. Now the 60 Minutes one, I don't. But
I get what you're
certain
saying. A working court system should actually be available to anyone who has been wronged and should be a forum where evidence is what resolves the conflict.
Yeah.
So, yes, I think anyone, as skeptical as we are of so much of how it fails, when it works, you look at it and go, oh, wow, like take the Alec Baldwin trial, which some people followed.
So Alec Baldwin is back in court for his involuntary manslaughter trial for that fatal Rust movie set shooting.
It doesn't matter what you think of Alec Baldwin or how he would pass your name test, right?
You're talking about Eladia?
Hilaria. Yes, I am a white girl.
That was a situation where we now know by the end of a court process that there was no reliable evidence that he went to the movie set that day and tried to kill someone.
Dismissal with prejudice is warranted to ensure the integrity of the judicial system and the efficient administration of justice.
That's totally absurd.
Yeah.
That was the only question. The question isn't what you think of Alec Baldwin or whether they could have had better safety on set. They could have better safety at a lot of workplaces. A lot of people are put in danger. But it was a case where it's very clear from the evidence that local authorities had a debacle on their hands and a star. And while stars might get all sorts of special treatment most days, on that day, the authorities decided we're going to hang this on Alec Baldwin because he's famous. He was the most famous person around.
Puffy's Puffy. By the way, I'd like to say, Eladia, I'm going to give you 5 name changes because you showed such bravery and originality going from Hillary to Eladia.
Code switching.
And if you want to, I have another one for maybe your next one. Hilario.
Wow.
Hilario. Think about it.
So the question was, do you like sometimes seeing these court cases? And the answer for anyone who cares about truth or even the higher order, justice.
Did he sue any news organizations? I'm saying as a news person.
No, I'm just using a very clear example. Because
Yeah.
the news ones, you get into what does defamation mean. We could talk about it. I'm just using that as an example where by the end of that case, you said the court system actually worked. Now, we can still look at, well, he had the money to pay the lawyers. He could withstand the thing. Other people would have been forced to settle. That's why the system is so unfair to the poor. I've done a lot of work on criminal justice reform. We could talk about that. But to the question of, you look at a court system that works and you say, wow, unlike everywhere else where people bring their preconceived notions or are super polarized or reading whatever, that system worked. In that case, you apply that to say Fox News was on defense for a bunch of obviously false, demonstrably false claims, both about the election that Biden won, which they were suggesting somehow maybe Trump secretly won.
We don't know anything about the software that many say was rigged. We don't know.
And circulating conspiracy theories about voting machines and other demonstrably false things.
Fox has admitted to telling lies about Dominion that caused enormous damage to my company, our employees, and the customers that we serve.
They failed the journalistic standard. They paid out one of the largest defamation settlements in American history, over $500 million. So you can look at that and say, oh, that worked. The other obvious problem in our system and across the courts in general is the incentives are off. There's a lot of frivolous lawsuits. If rich people like Peter Thiel has done this, he just funded a bunch of lawsuits against one of his enemies in the media, Nick Denton and Gawker, and it's a complicated case. But the structural point is, if you have unlimited resources, then you can keep suing someone in different places, and you can bankrupt them, whether or not you have a good point or not. So separate from, again, what you think about that exact topic, there are holes in this system so that when the sitting president of the United States, who's reaping billions of dollars in his own conflicted crypto spending, which is a type of virtual currency that he repeatedly said was clearly a scam, but now he's in power. So like other politicians we've seen in countries with lax rules, he's making billions off crypto, and then he wants to use that to sue people indefinitely while he's the sitting president. I do think it raises more questions.
Yeah. You were was your focus in law, was it free speech?
Yeah, I worked for Floyd Abrams, who's one of the top First Amendment lawyers in the country, amazing litigator. He won the Pentagon Papers case for the New York Times against Nixon. He represented Al Franken when there was lawsuits over Bill O'Reilly. And again, one of those issues of, oh, you're criticizing me. Oh, I'm going to sue you.
Yeah.
He's represented the New York Times in a case against the Bush administration where they were trying to make a reporter give up their sources. Represented Judy Miller, if you remember all the way back to Iraq, which you mentioned. So he has many lawyers who work for him. I was one of them, but really learned a lot.
Probably the best one, from what I heard. You were the only one they gave a TV show to. My other question about free speech is, okay, so Germany says don't say shit about Nazis. Basically, that's not the official the way the law is written, but that's basically what they're saying. To the point about DaBaby, when would it be okay in Germany to, you know what I mean? Like okay, that's a thing happens over 6-7 years, whatever, whatever dates you want to put on the Holocaust.
You're calling the Holocaust a thing that happened.
Yeah, and there's no other word for it. I'm calling it a Instagram story. I understand. I obviously understand. It's the balance between freedom and safety, and like, where do you fall on this? Is it different every time? Do you have like a sort of mnemonic you use to like clarify it?
Free speech is a concept, and as you're mentioning, where the limits are decided by systems, laws, or people over time. The United States has one of the more robust approaches to this, meaning defending more speech, which includes harmful or bad speech. Other countries go in a different direction. Germany, responsible for World War II in the main and the Holocaust, or Japan, which has tried to make a lot of changes since that time, are places where it's not surprising to me, if you look at this as history, that those places err more on the other side. Indeed, it may be a good thing to many people, right? You say, well, you guys, because you don't get, in modern history, you don't usually get mass support for that kind of killing without a great deal of propaganda and information beforehand. So the link which scholars and others make between the terrible thing that happened and the years of misinformation, lies, or hate speech before are relevant. So it doesn't surprise me that, I mean, we've picked an outlier, and to flip back to a more relatable example, it's like Muhammad Ali. You say, well, you know, Muhammad Ali could habitually beat boxers who were quite a bit heavier than him. And this just goes to show, you know, maybe we don't need such strict weight classes. Okay, we've just tried to make an argument based on an exception on one of the greatest boxers ever.
Yeah.
So is that a good argument, or are we saying, well, Muhammad Ali was so good he could beat Foreman even when he was heavier, but no other boxers could? So if you take that back to free speech
I guess what I'm looking for,
I don't think Germany is the best example, but I can answer the question.
No, but I know in comedy it's like I've made fun of every race. I've done Holocaust jokes. I've done slavery sketches, jokes. I've done, and then there's certain things. It's like for some reason, like blackface. No, I've said the N-word. Whatever, I've said the N-word. But there are things where it's like we should be able to say whatever. We should be able to. My N-word defense is like it was a joke about the word, etc. But what I'm saying is, what is the legal definition? When would the Klan marching become hate speech?
Right.
When does it become fighting words?
So there's a famous case from Skokie, Illinois, where neo-Nazis marching peacefully, which may sound like a setup for a Chappelle skit, but as long as it truly was peaceful, was protected.
It was peaceful, though, right?
Yes. So
these were great guys.
So these bad guys
didn't need Chappelle for that stupidity.
Was protected speech under U.S. law. And another distinction I want to just say to set it up is free speech doesn't mean there's no reaction or accountability for what you say. It just means you're not going to be imprisoned for it or functionally destroyed for it. So if you can bankrupt someone through those civil law or jail them, that's a very different environment. But, you know, I'm on live TV every night.
De La Soul is basically hip-hop royalty.
We have free speech. If I say something that makes the company decide I'm not going to be on TV tomorrow night, that's not a violation of the First Amendment. I got to speak, and they exercise their accountability.
Get thrown in jail, that's
right, which
that's
is the
a
government.
Violation. Yeah.
So, and we've seen. So again, I've seen. I think the other thing I'll say, since it's a podcast and we're being sort of personal, this is more subjective. I wouldn't get into this as much in the middle of a news program, but it's so funny, Neal, for me, like having been the nerd studying First Amendment law and then practicing it and then having like explaining it, like being at like parties with smart people who are like, wait, which amendment is that? And wait, what? And then, as you know, like, I don't know when, but in the last 5 or 6 years, shit got hot. Like this became the topic on the right, but then also like a counter argument on the left. And then like, I don't know about you, I just feel I went from like something more obscure to like, I'm seeing politicians and billionaires and all kinds of people talk about free speech, which I put in quotes, all the time. And so that's just been sort of really funny from my background.
Yeah, well, it's their definition of free.
But then a lot of times,
people don't realize it's just the government can't jail you or arrest you. I mean, I guess they're trying to sue now.
That you can't be taken to court or have your life destroyed for exercising your free speech rights.
Okay, but my question is, so the Klan marches in Skokie, what if the repercussions had been they got their ass whooped at the end of the march? The people who whooped their ass would have gone to jail, right? And they would have...
Well, that's a separate infraction of was their battery, right? The real question for the First Amendment test would be, did they act in a way that imminently caused a riot or violence, even if it was two-sided? So you can imagine a type of march that you call a march, but you go right up to people's houses and you start doing this and that, and it's menacing.
And that just comes down to like a jury deciding if that's over the line.
Right.
But there's a
legal
grievous
test.
harm? What is it?
Yeah, there's a standard for it in the same. So you mentioned fighting words. Free speech protection does not allow you to go up to somebody and insult their wife and kids in a horrific manner and then expect them to just stand around, right? So basically
Shout out to Ted Cruz. Go ahead.
there are things that are so obviously incendiary, and that's where here's another classic example. Free speech doesn't allow you to publish instructions for making contraband weapons.
Yes.
So grenades are banned. You can't have a civilian grenade. You can't sell it. Well, can you give out all the DIY home printer information? No, that's also banned because it's not speech. You're not expressing anything. And so at a certain point, doing something that is designed to cause a fight is not expressive. That's the way they define the test, even though I know that's sounds a little abstract.
I mean, there's got to be a standard, and it's relying on you at parties to explain it.
But hate speech is something different, and we've had a lot more emphasis on that. And again, if you want to take a hateful stance against people who make plastic water bottles because that's part of your worldview, it might be terrible, might be unfair. If you go screaming about it at work, you might not keep that job, right? You don't have carte blanche everywhere you go. But you can say that because it's still related to your environmental agenda versus you getting up in someone's face to cause a fight for that sole purpose. That's not speech. You're trying to cause fight, not trying to express idea.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Guys, shorter days don't have to be dismal. It's time to reach out and check in with those you care about and to remind ourselves that we're not alone. This November, BetterHelp is encouraging everyone to reach out, check in on friends, reconnect with loved ones, and remind the people in your life that you're there. Just as it can take a little courage to send that message or grab coffee with someone you haven't seen in a while, reaching out for therapy can feel difficult too, but it's worth it. And it almost always leaves people wondering, why didn't I do this sooner? Reaching out's fun. A buddy of mine from high school reached out to me recently. He listened to the Alain de Botton episode and liked it, really liked it actually. And this is a kid outside Philly, listening to a British therapist, psychology, philosopher guy. Reaching out works, and I stand by it. BetterHelp's got quality therapists. Their therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the United States. Here's the call to action. I'm going to read it verbatim. This month, don't wait to reach out. Whether you're checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself, BetterHelp makes it easier to take that first step. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/NEAL. That's BetterHelp.com/NEAL. BetterHelp.com/Neal. Do it. Look, I hit you with this every week. Do it. Maybe this is the week. Do it. Guys, Ground News. They've finally come home because I'm a Ground News user. I use their app. Ground News, if you don't know, is an app and website that shows you how each story is being reported across the political spectrum, left, right, and center. Take this story. Global AI regulations divide nations. Okay, so there are over 20 sources covering this story, and Ground News lines them up so you can see the bias distribution, compare left versus right headlines, and check the factuality rating of each outlet. Then there's this feature, which I love. This is the blind spot feed. It shows you stories that are heavily covered by one side of the political spectrum, but barely mentioned by the other. Basically, it's your news diet mirror. And yeah, sometimes it hurts to look. I'm on the left, but it stinks. So I like to see how I could be living. Yeah. So you can see if something's it's just a story I would never see on my liberal. You've seen who I've had on, John Lovett. Now I'm having Ari Melber on. Callahan's in the middle, but left. I can go on and on. So this is a thing I actually use, and I'm grateful they're here. Go to ground.news/NEAL if you actually want to see the whole story, not just the part your bubble agrees with. Check out Ground News or click the link below to get 40% off the Vantage plan, which gives you unlimited access to worldwide coverage. Ground News. Don't just read the news, see the whole picture. And thank you for your partnership. Am I saying that to them or they're saying that to me? Or are we all saying it to each other? You mentioned your currency at parties.
It's not how I brought it up, but go, okay.
What do you make? How old are you?
I'm 35.
I feel like you thought your life would be around this good, and people resented you for it. You've always been a little too confident for people.
Interesting.
This is whatever. I'm getting a reading right now. You've always been a little too confident for people, You're probably the more ambitious guy in your law school class, and you don't really care. And what do you make of your feeling of forward motion that you'd like to get momentum? Because did you just think you were going to be a lawyer? You were like, I'll be a lawyer, but maybe we'll see what happens. Not bad looking. You're not a bad looking guy.
Thank you. That's nice of you to say. I mean, Jeremiah said, you remember Jeremiah?
Jeremiah.
Singer. Yeah, the singer.
Oh, Jeremiah. Was Jeremiah.
Jeremiah. IH at the end, Jeremiah.
I feel like there's an apostrophe, which as a white person terrifies me. In an Italian name like D'Amico, I can do it. But in a black name,
you do so much work with. Yeah, you do a lot of work with names.
I will tell you what, I get very scared. A lot of name comedy, you mean?
Name comedy, yeah.
Talk to Key and Peele about that.
New genre.
Their two big sketches are black name sketches.
With the NFL
teacher, Aaron, and the NFL draft.
Ty Royal, Smoochie Wallace.
Well, Aaron is classic.
They're great sketches, but I'm saying I don't think we did any name comedy. They did two. They did two hit name comedy sketches.
Well, Jeremiah said this is more.
Jordan Peele, what happened? Where is he? No one knows where he is now.
This is more than life. This is paradise.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell me it gets better. It gets better.
Mm-hmm.
It gets better.
This is R&B.
Yeah, it's a great song.
I hate R&B.
Okay.
I don't like R&B. I don't want to hear about you fucking.
Wow.
I don't want to hear about it.
Well, that lyric was not at all about that.
I know, but I don't want to hear about he's on a date in the song.
That song is it's actually the last track on the Something
You
Nights.
listen to entire R&B albums? Are you out of your mind?
It's called Something Nights.
One of your blocks is not being worried about time, and you're listening to entire R&B albums. You fucking maniac. Go ahead.
And that song is not, I don't think, about romance. I think it's about a place he's at in his life where he's really enjoying and savoring life, and then jokingly or almost, sort of maybe flirtatiously saying, and they tell me it gets better.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the lyric that came to mind when you did your spiel.
He uses lyrics to dodge real issues. Tell me about what you thought was going to happen and what happened.
Professionally,
yeah. But where did you grow up? You grew up around here?
I grew up in Seattle, Washington.
Okay.
I admit to the premise of your question. I got a law degree, but was doing a lot of other things and did not plan or envision myself only practicing like commercial law, like for private clients for decades.
For a whole career. Yeah.
I got that education. I went to a firm that did free speech and other interesting things, so I enjoyed that.
If that's what the direction you're heading in, who do you look to as a sort of, I'd like to be like him or her?
I mean, you look to public intellectual lawyers, I guess.
Who were famous? Like, I'm literally William Kunstler's coming to mind. I don't know why.
William Kunstler was a big civil rights and civil libertarian advocate. Yes. Look at you. I mean, for lawyers, there are lawyers who do private practice their whole career, meaning however good you get at it, you're always making someone else's point. You're always writing briefs for someone else.
Yeah, it's funny. Therapists are in the same position.
So
it's all Freud.
Yeah. So and that's fine, and that's that practice of law, and some people do it in very interesting ways, but it's for them. There are people who go into government, and those are the lawyers we see, and that had no appeal to me. In other words, I didn't clerk for a judge. I never thought, if this goes well enough, I'll get appointed to be a judge, which is a very political and elite process. Mm-hmm. But also that just was not. So there's that thing, or it's like we have on the news, we have Neal Catchall. He's the best at that. Obama said he'll defend all my ideas at the Supreme Court. We need to win this Obamacare case. He made Neal Catchall acting Solicitor General. Like that, right?
Yep.
That didn't appeal to me, even though I have great respect for that. And I don't think I'm cut out for that. And I'm a little too, you have to be very by the book. No.
So a guy like that just has
he's brilliant.
Encyclopedic memory, more or less.
He's brilliant.
Like probably photographic.
Probably, and he's really into it. But like no lyrics in court. Like you're not going to win over Amy Coney Barrett with that Jadakiss reference, are you?
I mean, I would have you disbarred if you did that. I would like to have you thrown off television for doing it. So you can only imagine what I would do in my court.
Disbarred for bars.
Oh fuck! I should cancel this whole podcast. Okay, so you and so you were always looking at that. Would you say you're a ham? Like what is it? Because I can say I acted like I wasn't a ham for the first 30 something years of my life. I was like, he's low performing, what a low impulse. And I'd write for people, whatever. And then finally I was like, you know what, dude, just admit you're a fucking ham and go for it. Now, because what you're doing is serious or
But was that for a psychological reason? There was a part of you that said that writing
it was a dodge.
A dodge from what? Writing was somehow more pure than being a comic on stage with the other comics?
It was scared. Scared.
But scared of what?
Success. I'm kidding. I get in my own worst enemy. Scared of admitting it. Scared of admitting I'm a ham, and scared of admitting it and doing it and not being good.
And that there was a negative to that for you to either fail at that or want that too badly without getting it was itself suspect.
There was a negative. There was a few negatives. One of them was the people around when I was making this decision were Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle, Jon Stewart, Dave Attell, Sarah Silverman, Wanda Sykes. So I was a bit like,
yeah.
Marin, a lot of incredible, Ray Romano, a lot of incredible comedians. So I was sort of right in thinking this was unlikely, but I've surpassed them all.
Idols become rivals.
I've surpassed them
Rick
all.
Ross.
But I know, please.
Did you know?
I knew around the year.
Okay.
So that's what I'm curious about.
I'm doing it extra
Not
to
really.
needle you.
Not
a
really.
little extra.
Not really. This is actually, you're kind of under what I would have put you at.
Okay.
And don't take that as a challenge. So I guess what did you think? Like, so what's that impulse? Like, I want to be a lawyer. Like, what? Because when I would look at William Kunstler or even Dershowitz, by the way, big Three Mics fan. Don't worry about it. And it's another thing that me and Jeffrey Epstein agree on. Is Alan Dershowitz. This guy has great taste. What is that? A public intellectual. Like, what is or Gore Vidal or any of those? Like, those guys. Was he a lawyer, Gore Vidal?
No, just writer, author. Yeah,
that's what I'm.
But very.
What is that?
Well, Gore Vidal, Hitchens, James Baldwin.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking again.
Debaters, like guys who
debaters.
Fuck.
You're talking about when we look at those people, and it's not to make a self-comparison, but does that inspire you or not, or does it intimidate you? And you just gave examples. I mean, yeah, who could live up to Jon Stewart is a good example between our worlds, because as much as he's funny and pioneered a style, he spent a long time and now has returned to being whatever denials he gives.
You're on CNN. The show that leads into me is puppets making crank phone calls.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, it's just easier.
My observation is that he has a type of influence and public trust that is broader than many politicians who are very narrow. I don't know that if you're hardcore super right or super left that he satisfies you, but his appeal is broader. I would say, for example, broader than Colbert.
I would agree.
And so you look at that and you go, well, yeah. You might say you're not funny enough to do it, or not influential enough, or not creative enough. Sure, but that notion always appealed to me, to answer your question.
As a position, as like a perch in culture.
So Stewart would be more comic world, but to me, before I knew what the medium was, yes, I was freelance writing while working at a demanding, like, full-time law firm and doing other networking and such.
What are you writing?
I was writing for Huffington Post and The Nation.
Got it.
Freelance for Politico for a while. I had a little column there, but. So I'm obviously doing that while working the full-time, like, junior, third-year associate at a New York law firm that's got the top First Amendment practice in the country. It's a lot to juggle. So I'm not doing all that extra on top of the day job because I'm like, I'm just going to hopefully sit around, or I'm just keeping busy. I was thinking about things I was interested in and ways to step out and do it, which is different than just representing a private client. And so, yes, to me, it would be more like a Hitchens or a James Baldwin or someone that in a different era that we grew up on, you'd see these people having intelligent debates on Dick Cavett to influence the world. I mean, that always appealed to me. And it's funny what you said about that you might have felt conflicted, I felt like reaching a point where you learned and know something about policy and law and then trying to actually push in the right direction, because I did a lot of writing and work on criminal justice and human rights. I worked at the Center for Constitutional Rights, which is a human rights organization. That was before I went to law school. To me, that was like good work. I find it interesting. I think it's easier to do work you're interested in than not. But I was like, not to have the dream you're going to be, in charge of whatever, criminal justice reform for the country. It's not even a job. But I found that to be really exciting, and I wanted to work towards that. And so the markers I felt, this was before you talked about how you land on a TV, but before ever being hired to work in a newsroom on television full time, when I would have moments where I was like, oh, people are taking me seriously, or I'm having influence on that, or this was a different era, like compared to now. But in the Bush era, I was writing a lot about the abuse of terrorism and surveillance powers. So I was drawing what I knew in law, but I'd also briefly been in politics, and I was writing these pieces. And then when I would get asked to speak on it, or I remember the first time I spoke at like a very nerdy panel in D.C., there's like 40 people in the room. Mm-hmm. But to your point about whatever you called it, confidence or drive, but I was like the youngest speaker at the thing. Yeah. And then older people were coming up to me, and this is where you're still like, am I a kid? Am I an adult? Mm-hmm. Older people were coming up to me like, well, you made that point. How would you say this, that? And I'm like, looking at this person, and I'm like, 27. And I'm like, I'm explaining it to them, but like, wait, but what? You get a little in your head. But I was like, this is a positive step, because this is what I set out to do.
And did people like that about you?
I mean, I don't know, and I don't care.
Great. That's what I figured.
What do other people think about other people?
Great. Some people are very susceptible to it. I think I am. I mean, as a comedian, you have to be, but I get way too hung up in who said what.
Well, comedy's different because you are still trying to make a group of people laugh, mm-hmm. either in a room or watching blocks on Netflix, mm-hmm. or writing a sketch. Mm-hmm. But so you have to be really in touch with that nuance. Mm-hmm. That is a craft. But I think when that's over-serviced in another field where it's like, if I'm trying to shape or provide information about this topic or present something, and people are mad about it, or politicians are attacking me, or some people don't like me, that's not only okay, sometimes that's comes with the turf. So I feel like those are very different.
No, yeah, I get that. I guess I'm just curious as to the level of ambition because I think I was talking about somebody yesterday, and I was like, that guy's ambitious, but the issue is he doesn't hide it well enough. And I wonder, anyone who's got their own show on MSNBC or CNN or OWN is ambitious. And so I'm wondering, do you guys even bother hiding it? Or is it like, no, we're all open, this is the Olympics, I'm not getting a bronze, I'm getting a gold. Is it kind of gross?
The way I think about it is, it depends what it's in service of. So I do think that people who are seen as only out for themselves, or only looking for some acclaim or audience without any other purpose, I think feels to me different than, you have a point, you care about this stuff, you have a documented record of working hard and caring about this stuff, and then the only question is people go, yeah, but it's still over-rewarded, or capitalism, or there's a million things you can get into. But yeah, I mean, that's why when I mentioned, it's funny because we're having pod talk. Mm-hmm. I don't think, I guess I don't know, but I don't think most of viewer, the Beat will do 1.5 million live viewers a night, and we'll do millions more on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And then across a week, it'll be 6 to 8 million different people watch some piece of it, right? And we have that data. I don't think most of them know, maybe even care, what my background is. I think I'm guessing they've made a judgment that there's some value that this show provides because they're watching it and they're coming back to it in a very competitive environment. There's a million things on. But I don't think they know. Do they know that I worked on Capitol Hill and worked at a human rights organization and freelanced and wrote all these articles, and then was doing 2 jobs, practicing law while I was ferrying back and forth to the newsroom to do a guest appearance about something I cared about, but I wasn't getting paid for it. And then I was going back and writing these articles. And I remember. Did
you get? I'm gonna cut you off. That's enough. Cut his mic.
Cut his mic. I'm not going to dress you down anymore.
Did you?
Well, I'm saying I don't think they care. Or no.
I don't. Okay. Which then the next question is, how did you develop as a broadcaster? How did you Did you take a teleprompter class? Did you
No.
do anything that made you like, I need to get ahead of this?
No,
Or not
I
even
mean
get ahead of it. I need to develop a skill set that you don't come out like that you don't get from
No.
being a lawyer.
No, it's just on the job, meaning if you go in as a guest, you're around it.
Yeah.
The first time I was asked to guest host means you're sitting now in the chair of the host.
Yep.
And they put the prompter up, and I'd never read a prompter before.
Did you know that it was coming?
Well, they mentioned, we're going to keep the script shorter. It was live
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
No training. No formal training.
And did you realize how, now looking back, are you like, oof, okay, I'm glad I passed that test. It could have gone any direction.
I think it's bananas that that's how they do it for live TV.
Well, I do too.
I could understand if it was taped, because
Yeah.
it'd be like, bring people in and then we'll use the tapes that work. That's why like taped magic is always funny, because when you watch taped Magic
Johnson?
Special, a magician.
Tape. Oh, got it.
A magician doing tricks on tape. You don't have to be really interested in magic to think, well, they're showing us the time it worked.
I know.
Because you could guess 9 other people's card slightly wrong and not show us that clip, right? We all know that, right? So I could see tape doing it, but the fact that they do it live, I think, is so funny. It's
the fact that they tape,
news.
The fact that they just go,
here,
you, go, in 3.
Well, and remember, there's what you plan for the day, but anytime you see, now look, if it's big enough news, they'll pull the guest host. I've seen them do that. But if there is, God forbid, a really bad event, it could be a school shooting, it could be something in D.C., there could be international news, you go right to it. It takes at least 5 to 8 minutes to ready up. There are other people in an international news network who are somewhere, right, ready to host someone the next hour, someone for next, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not overnight. I mean, well, not overnight, it's not the wrong, it's not in an instant. So if there's a guest host and a plane crashes, the guest host starts doing breaking news, which if you've never learned how to do that is quite challenging for at least
Plus,
a few
Chris
minutes.
Hayes can be around. He's got to go to makeup for an hour just to get to be presentable.
Are you making a joke about someone's appearance?
Lawrence O'Donnell.
You're making an appearance?
Me
I
of
can't.
all people. I didn't understand your tone, and then I got it later on.
I object.
I'm making a fucking Chris Hayes. Yeah, fucking.
But I have to object to an appearance joke. To how you're making fun of how you think somebody looks.
I have a huge bit about somebody making fun of my appearance, and it does really well. It does disappointingly well when I say the things that people say about me online. When it is breaking news, we've gotten to 0 blocks, by the way.
We can do a block.
No, we'll do a block.
Okay.
When it is breaking news, what do you have a plan there? It's just like literally they're telling me. Is there a different approach to that you've gone through enough of them that you now have a plan as a broadcaster?
I guess you learn over time how to do it, but serious breaking news is the most challenging part of the job, because it's often very sad human events.
Mm-hmm. Which one of your blocks?
Yeah, that is one of my blocks. You want to do it that way? Because they ask for blocks. Go ahead.
Yep. Dealing with bad, sad news.
Yes. So often the saddest sudden news, right, is the breaking news. So it's not that we sat down and said, oh, we're going to do this story about end-of-life issues and we're interviewing people who are dying. But, you know, even those stories, which can be quite somber mentally and emotionally, you go towards them, you decide to do them, and there's a humanity in it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas sad breaking news is just, oh, here's what we know. There's a live shooter in the school.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck. Like, oh, here's what we know. They've shot some kids, but the shooter's still alive. Like, these are the type of updates you're getting. And I try not to think about it, but I sometimes I'm like, depending on the situation and how long it goes, it's like, there could be people in that community watching.
Yeah.
There could be people,
parents,
like, or they're like, have the news on while they're calling, like, and you don't want to be maudlin, and you're just, again, talk about, like, I get it, everyone shoots at the press, and there's a lot of problems in the press, but, like, in that moment, any honest person doing that work, which is, yes, there's someone on camera, there's our team that's trying to get the accurate information, there's our reporters on the ground. No, I don't think there's some big bias of how do we turn, you know, what people think, oh, you're trying to turn this into something. We're not trying to turn it into anything.
Yeah.
We're doing a body count of, like, oh, they killed 6 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
Oh, this one they killed 12. This is going to be, and then again, it gets to the gruesome math of American life. This is going to be a, quote, big one. Well, obviously, anytime an adult walks into a school and murders a child out of the blue, like we're already in the worst thing that could happen.
By the way, thanks for demonetizing this episode. Any profit I was going to make on this.
I don't even know that. Is that
there's certain words you can't say. They demonet whatever. I don't give a shit.
What word was
it? So much money. I don't. All right, please.
I appreciate you lighting it with some jokes.
No.
So yeah, that's hard to do. It's hard for our whole team in different ways, and you're just trying to get the information back out to the people, and then you don't have the time for the existential. It's sort of like you go home afterward, and sometimes you're just like. Was that useful? Was that
without
not
being
useful?
grandiose? It's a bit like being a doctor, I would think.
Without helping.
Yeah,
Without helping.
yeah, you're watching the doctor going like, oh, that's a bad guy.
It's like being in the doctor's observation room.
Yes.
Yeah, my dad's a doctor, neurologist, clinical. That word, like that's him. Like when he was dealing with that stuff. A neurologist, you deal with end-of-life issues and you deal with families, and it's heavy. And my dad just completely had a clinical attitude of it, which was he was there to help. But being around that many families, finding out information sometimes, and somebody gets better, somebody doesn't, somebody dies, like that to him was work.
Work.
He wasn't heavy about it.
Was he decent? That the correlation between malpractice suits and bedside manner?
Oh, no, he's very empathetic, has a good bedside manner. I just mean that he wasn't tortured about it.
Got it. He just knew that that's what it was.
Yeah, as far as I saw, and I thought that was a good model. And I think, I'll say it this way, there are times when I feel like, oh, no, we did our role today, which is just whatever that is, and I feel okay about it. And then there are other times where I'm like, we didn't do anything wrong, but like,
okay, hypothetically, what's a good one and a bad, what's a good day, what's a good version of the proper tone, and what's a bad version of, and what's the improper tone?
Shootings are some of the worst.
Can a Cronkite taking his glasses off?
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Cronkite taking his glasses off. Did he overdo it?
Wow, I
mean, you know what I mean? Like, is that like that? I think that's the right amount. I think he nailed it.
Right. Well, you're talking about it like it's...
But it's also like he could have. I would have given him 15% more. Emo.
I mean, I can't even. You're talking about it like it's a performance or a choice.
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about what's the proper tone to present tragedy in an information network.
I don't know. I usually try to keep it as respectful and minimal as possible.
Unadorned,
and not the time to. We talked earlier about law. We can look at the access to guns in this country.
Mm-hmm. Now's not the time.
President Trump, with full Secret Service protection as a candidate, was shot in the ear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so in the that's part of the head by an individual who, based on what we know about him, he was killed on sight, was very likely unwell and should not have had access to that weapon. So that's what in policy we would call an easy case. You want rules that prevent that guy, the wannabe presidential killer, from getting the gun. There are harder cases where you say, oh, this person was a cop, so of course they're going to have a gun. That's who we give out guns to, and some of them, they're not all perfect, right? That's that would be, from a policy view, a harder case. That's an easy case. Now, having said that, the days of covering that, you don't turn it into that immediately. Like you cover the new. People are still trying to understand, like, wait,
what happened?
What happened?
Yeah.
And how did it happen? And like I said earlier, with that Ye quote that I know moved you and made you really kind of think about putting college dropout back on when you walk out of here. Not doing that is part of saying to the audience, like, we're giving you the information. So that would be an example where you're trying to do it that way. And an example where it doesn't go well is that you think that you didn't meet the mark, or the information was fluid and you're reporting what you have, but at one point you're reporting stuff and then you have to say a correction, or here's what we're learning, or you go to a source on the ground and they repeat something they heard, and so it's the best material you have, but it's not reputable. And those, by the way, don't make for like, very rarely do people genuinely like sue the press over that. People understand.
Yeah.
It's the first 15 minutes and the school's on lockdown and you're not going to say nothing. So you go to the local source and a local security guard at the school says something and then it turns out to be wrong. And then you're thinking about all the people with the stakes and the emotion of that. And you're like, well,
I'd like to say, I think Walter Cronkite nailed it. I think Regis and Kelly blew it on 9/11.
Did they? Do you remember what they did?
It was just, they didn't know what was going on.
And how are you? I know you're in shock.
I'm really in shock.
Yeah.
I've never, I don't know what to say. I really don't know
But they really had quite a storm last night. Lightning bolts coming down, and it really was something.
I made it just in time. I was with the kids and we, oh my gosh, something just
exploded. As a close-up view, I guess.
Something just exploded.
Maybe that plane had something in it.
It's just the worst thing I can imagine.
And they were like, "Oh." It was. I mean, no one knew what was happening, but I remember watching it and being like, they're under their phone in this end. They're not phone. They just had no idea what. No one had any idea. What was happening. Regis, one of the greats, and Kelly's one of the greats. Guys, I don't know if you heard, but when I fly into a city, I try not to take Uber, Lyft, or taxi because I get car sick. Anyhow, long story short, I took the train into New York from JFK Airport and left my roller bag on the train like a goof. I had my backpack, left my roller bag. Anyhow, long story short, didn't have my Mando, my precious Mando, for 8 days. That's how long it took me to get my bag back. It was a good opportunity to test everything I say about Mando, about the 72 hours and all that stuff. It went, for me, again, I smelled decent for 6 days. I don't expect you to get that. That's what happened to me. And when I finally got the Mando, I needed it on day 8. Did I bring a second deodorant in? No, because I knew I was going to get my bag, and I did. And it was. You want to talk about reunited? Mando in my pits, sugar and spice. Look, they got a solid stick deodorant, which is formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts. They got a spray deodorant, aluminum-free and ideal for hard-to-reach places. All products are baking soda-free and paraben-free. Choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, that's my choice, or Pro Sport. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash or deodorant wipes, always come in handy, and free shipping. As a special offer for my listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Use code NEAL at shopmando, shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. Shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered with deodorant plus sweat control. Say goodbye to sweat stains and hello to long-lasting freshness. Guys, the holidays are almost here, and if you still have names on your list, don't panic. Uncommon Goods makes holiday shopping stress-free and joyful with thousands of one-of-a-kind gifts you can't find anywhere else. You'll discover presents that feel meaningful and personal, never rushed or last minute. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. Many are crafted by independent artists and small businesses, so every gift feels special and thoughtfully chosen. Go on there now. They got handmade, it's customizable. It's also like they have like licensing deals with sports teams. They have like cool memorabilia stuff. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, from moms and dads to kids and teens. From book lovers and sports fans to foodies, mixologists, and gardeners, you'll find unforgettable gifts that are anything but ordinary. When you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. Every purchase is a chance to choose something remarkable and feel good about where your money goes. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3.1 million to date. It was pretty good. Here's the call to action. So don't wait. Make this holiday the year you give something truly unforgettable. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/blocks. BLOCKS. That's uncommongoods.com/BLOCKS for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary. Uncommon Goods. Go on. It's good. Good. It's like you could probably knock 3 people out one trip. Duty and obligation in life and work. We're going to file this one under Jewish. Obligation. I mean, now having said that, doctor, father, lawyer, son.
Sociologist, mother.
Fucking Jewish. It gets more Jewish every credit. Any rabbis?
Not in the immediate. I think there was a great uncle who was a rabbi.
Great. What is it? Just because you also have existential. Am I doing this right? Is this the right use of my time? They seem related to me.
Well, the time one is different. What do you have under time?
Let's do one.
We'll do one at a time. Yeah, I felt this way because when I graduated college, I went to Capitol Hill. I was like, I'm going to be a part of change and progress. And it sounds so naive to me now. Like, I learned very quickly on Capitol Hill that's not what's going on down there. But
What would you say is going on down there to that point?
The vast majority of activity of Congress is to recruit or please rich donors or perform poorly acted skits for various interest groups. That's the majority of it. Not all, but that's most of it.
Yeah, the amount of fundraising they have to do is just
and being
astounding.
On the outside, you tend to have a general view like, and some of it is like you can call BS, and some of it's like based on some vague amalgam of things where you're like, yeah, they're all liars. You have a sense of it. Then on the inside, you get a much more specific, precise close-up of it. And there are exceptions, both at the staff and elected level. I mean, I've seen members of Congress. We were just talking about the guns issue. I mean, I've seen members who care about it and take on the gun lobby and then lose their job over it that they spent like 20 years positioning to get. And you're like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
What they used to call profile and courage. So you see some of that and you're like, damn. And then you see 9 out of 10 other members in either party being looking at that person going, well, I don't want that to happen to me.
Yeah.
I'd change my whole life to do this.
Yeah.
So you see that, but yeah, up close. So I very quickly left there and was like, that's not where I'm going to make impact or try to do good things. And so I have been able repeatedly in my career to like pivot. Like from there, I shifted and worked on a campaign. I went from Congress, I quit what was considered a fine job working for a senator and moved to Iowa to work for the John Kerry campaign, thinking at that moment in time, in that era, even though no candidate's perfect, that going against Bush after Iraq and all the rest, that would be a good thing to do. And I did that, and then he ended up winning the nomination. I was on that campaign for 13 months. I traveled the country. I learned a lot. We lost. I was unemployed, moved to New York. But thinking, what can I do that has, with that part of my life or value, like that has some positive impact? And I think sometimes people hear that and it sounds to some people grandiose or whatever. But I'm more like limited time only. And I don't think I'm going to be, if I'm alive at 70, I don't think I'm going to be leading some charge. It's like different life stage. So I feel like that's how I've approached it. And then the reason why it can be a block.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have any kind of spirituality? And because there are points where I just think like, I just want to create as much dopamine and oxytocin for myself as possible. Like that's, if you go, why am I doing this? There's a spiritual bent, which is like, it's purpose driven and I'm some sort of connection to God. And then the other one is like, I'm just a person, and the good stuff is dopamine and oxytocin, and let's just get that pumping.
You love, and Rami Youssef was doing this with you. You guys love to just sprinkle in like 3 biochemical words.
It's
to like guss up the point you're making.
Where we are.
You guys both like doing that.
That's where we are.
Someone
in
like,
life right now.
was it a fun party? And you'll be like, it was.
By the way,
it started out high cortisol, but then it got to be dopamine.
No, he overdoes that.
Only he does it, not you.
I did it.
So it's just something other people do.
I did it to show how stupid it is when he does it.
Why'd you do it today?
But but what do you when you think? What do you do when you go? Some people go, it's grandiose. How do you ideate it? What's your
But you're saying, do I
orientation
believe
around?
there's a spiritual or moral bearing?
You get 80 years.
Yeah.
What do you think you're supposed to do in the 80 years?
I was raised to think that if you can make a contribution to the world around you, which could be local, could be like literally right around you, or might be a wider scale.
Could be a Substack. Go ahead.
That's valuable work. You should try to do that. I mean, I didn't know this growing up, but looking back on it, it was a very outward-looking, public interest-oriented thing. It was never, and if you're getting to the core of like, are you still trying to impress your parents? Well, you wouldn't impress my parents with like things or dollars or
possessions,
anything like that. So maybe if you want to go under the hood, maybe there's some of that. But yes, I believe there's a moral and spiritual dimension to humanity, even though that's very hard for me to reconcile with like a giant cold universe where we're ants. Like, yes, I think that's hard. But I mean, I don't do that like day to day. And I wouldn't start the newscast with like, these things happen, but like maybe it's all just synapses. Like we're just here. Like I don't know what that is on a daily basis.
Stick around for Rachel. What do you say at the end of your show? Who's next? Who's after you? Lawrence O'Donnell?
The weeknight is next now.
Who's on that? Who does that?
Michael Steele and Simone and Alicia.
Oh, great.
It's a new show.
Great. Okay, so are you in a hurry? Do you feel like you're behind?
No.
Okay, so you're not like, I gotta do this, I gotta like, you're on schedule. You don't even think about it in that way.
Through trial and error, I've come to the view that life's not a race, or we'd all be trying to die first. We're not like racing to the end of our lives. It's not a race. So I'm at peace with that. The block is when I started the beat, so much of it with news is what's happening, so it's your intake. But then you schedule things. You book this guest. You plan to do this piece. I remember we were doing a piece about a really egregious racist case of a guy on death row.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10 days left, and we were like, research the piece, and we're going to do it. And then it got bumped, as we say, a day for big news, which that happens. Sometimes the news is too big. Like it wouldn't be responsible to just do some other thing that's not the national news. Then we did it. Then I remember there were a couple other steps. Washington Post did an editorial, and then some like Republican was like, wait, I've never spoken out, but this is too questionable to put this man to death. And then the governor intervened and spared the execution and just commuted it to life sentence. So at least saying, well, the government shouldn't just be killing someone when there's this many questions. And it was like, report other factors. I'm not saying, we were just part of that impact. And then I was feeling like, but those stories take more time and they're more local than national. And like, are we doing enough of them? Because like, it literally was part of a change.
Yeah.
And like that. And I used to feel that more strongly, and I think I've made my peace with it. But when you ask for blocks, like I think about that kind of stuff. Like when you're doing one more DC,
it's like Schindler's List.
You're doing one more DC politics segment, and we have small teams, and we have a team that works really hard together. And like it's not
you've
just
limited resources.
Yeah, it's
you
not just like
pick.
and to report it out the right way and actually do it. And it's a multi-day story, but we have a show every night. Plus, we're doing a multi-day story. Like that's just reality, right? So like. Nah, we can't. But then other times I'm like, are these good rationalizations we tell ourselves? That stuff bothers me. Yeah, and not because of cortisol or whatever fancy words you're into. Call back.
Fuck, this guy's getting a little too comfortable.
And what did he say earlier? He was like, your confidence. Do people hate that?
No.
Like, is this a Barbara Walters podcast?
I was doing Luke Perry eyebrows. Your confidence. Perfectionism.
But read what it was said.
Masquerading as what? I want you to. It's interesting because you're telling on yourself a little, which I appreciate.
I asked my ChatGPT, and I use it regularly, and I have the premium account. I said, go through.
Fuck.
I said,
You have $29 a month, like that. Damn.
I said, go through our exchanges and everything that I've been doing with you.
Oh,
And
interesting.
Objectively, without regard.
You do the therapy one.
It's not therapy. This was more of a coaching. I just said the prompt was. I just said because I use it most for work. I'm not using it. It's not what I would consider traditional therapy topics, although I'm sure it ranges for people. But I said objectively, without regard to my feelings or my preferences of how I do things, can you identify areas where I have blind spots or could better face things from a sort of humanist self-actualization and growth perspective, and be clear, be unsparing with me. And it gave like grouped responses, and some were whatever, but one that definitely felt like a blind spot because I didn't like reading it, and I don't self-identify this way, was perfectionism masquerading as efficiency and productivity.
Give me some.
So I really don't like that because I don't think of that.
That's pretty faint criticism. I don't.
No, I'm not saying it's bad criticism, but I know people. There are people in my family.
Now here we go.
Who can be perfectionist,
right.
which I view as pursuing some level of perfection or accomplishment for no purpose, like just because things have to be that good.
Yeah,
and
like OCD, like behavioral OCD or something.
Yeah, and I don't fuck with that. So,
what's the opposite of that?
Trying to do work that's good enough for the purpose and then keep it moving and be practical. And I try to be pragmatic and practical about things. So then when it said that but I do have a deep time efficiency kink, like it's like a big thing for me and something my friends make fun of, and that's fine. But I always say that helps.
You are wearing a watch.
I'm wearing a watch.
Which explains why he's rock hard right now.
I also feel like it helps outrun death issues because if I use my time really well, you don't know when your time's up. So I always feel like if my time's up next year, I'm not like, oh, but I was gonna do stuff. I'm like, no, I've been doing stuff.
Yeah.
I just got back from a cabin concert trip with my oldest high school friends, 6 guys I've known 29 years. Okay, and we're hanging out, and I'm prioritizing that.
Concert. I have no idea what concert you went to.
Well, we went to a part of Washington, basically rural Washington State near Seattle, and then there's like a festival.
The Gorge?
Not the Gorge. A smaller festival. I'm not just going to say where it was. But
okay.
Because I don't want people to come find us there. But a festival, not to be overly mysterious, like on some campgrounds in a place that's like super rural, so it's like no big deal. You pull up, you go in, you come out, and then the other days we were like swimming in a swimming hole.
And someone plays. There's
and then
music?
there was like local acts, and then there was one headline. We're getting a little sidetracked.
Fine, my mistake. I thought you saw Morgan Wallen.
But I'm like, and I saw my parents, and I'm living my life, and I'm doing work that I hope has meaning. So I'm not. So that's my time efficiency. That's how I tell it. But Chat was saying, and this is Blocks, that's my cover story. That it's still basically perfectionism, which doesn't have to be true, but is certainly a blind spot since I don't think of it that way. So I was like, let me like face that. And then you said, what are your blocks? And I was like, all right.
I guess it's hard if you have a schedule you want to meet and you're meeting it or you have goals. Are you aware of what it means? Do you think you know what ChatGPT means by that?
Yeah.
Did you explain it to me?
I think Chat is saying that
we'll call it Chat.
The time efficiency is more rooted in other needs than I am aware of because I asked for blind spots.
Okay.
And that, if you want to be technical, that there might be some pathology there, that it's worth scrutinizing rather than saying, no, this is something I'm good at and this is only the reason and this is...
Yeah. I guess I wonder what the fix would be.
I don't know what the fix would be, but you know what Thomas Dewey said.
Decimal system? guy? Thomas Dewey? Or is it a different
one? But I love that.
It's the only Dewey I know.
A problem well stated is a problem half solved.
I think this is the exception.
Is it?
Yeah, because I don't know. I get ChatGPT's criticism, but it's one of those unfalsifiable. You could never please ChatGPT. I believe in this category.
Well, chat is just one way to get it. Let's say that
whoever said it, your mom.
Whoever said it.
Yeah.
It is addressable if, for example, I'm inoculating against that tendency and not just taking it automatically, but the next time it happens going, oh, yeah, I could go that way and save 7 minutes, and to me, time is valuable. Or am I just overdoing this 7-minute thing? Like,
yeah, I get it. If it's like a form of like workaholism or overscheduling or like or anal retentiveness.
Mm-hmm.
This is right up my alley. Being present versus time traveling. And then you mentioned Eckhart Tolle and Ram Dass, two very good friends.
Shout out to Ram Dass.
But what has been your arc with it? What's been your process in terms of understanding? Because it is a bit anti-American, anti-capitalist to enjoy the moment and not worry about the future and not worry about just here.
I got into Ram Dass in high school. I got into the mindfulness space in high school. So that's
when it was like pretty obscure.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I don't know, mid-1990s, but I'm in Seattle. I worked at a co-op. It's pretty hippy-dippy space. And Seattle's like now a known city, but like if you go back enough decades, it was like Maine.
Yeah.
Portland, pre-Portlandia. Like it's kind of, so there were just different vibes and ways of being, and that was totally the mood.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading Ram Dass, Be Here Now, and it appealed to me then. And then our world's gotten busier and all that and tech. So I just think about it. I'm very aware of it.
Yeah, it's just you are not your thoughts. Don't listen. Don't believe your thoughts.
You're not your thoughts. And what Eckhart Tolle says, which goes all the way back to any like classic Eastern text, is the past doesn't exist. Like that's a deep thing to understand at either a historical cultural level and a personal level, and how much it is in our psyche in ourselves, and it creates realities. But it is actually over. It is not a real part of today's reality. And the future is obviously uncertain. And so that's kind of, anytime you can get something, you can get it through a hike, you can get it through nature, you can get it through a profound experience. I think a lot of people have a negative upload of this where, because it's in art and movies, but also I've had friends where they're like, oh my God, like once I found out like, no, my mom really only has this amount of time. Like everything cleared away. Like almost like you're walking through, all these things dissipate, and it's just like your mom, your immediate family, and the reality of that. So that makes sense. And it's not that you're going to have that level of stakes every day, but remembering that like that feeling is not specific to that lifespan. That's just a feeling that's strong enough that it overwhelms all the distracting information that makes us forget that we have such limited time now.
I even think saying that when people say like the past doesn't, I think it's bad marketing for what Ram Dass and Eckhart Tolle espouse. To me, it's just like, just don't believe your thoughts.
Right.
Just let it go. Like you hear it, you're not your thoughts. You're the person. You're the thing that hears your thoughts.
But you're speaking at an instrumental level. You're speaking at a tactical level, which is very relevant for people.
Because I just think that's the part, like just start there.
But underneath that, at least the way some people think about it is, what is the validity? What is the proof case of that? Like, why don't believe all these distracting thoughts? It's because a lot of them are about, I mean, if you really categorize them, a lot of them are about the past. And you're like, oh, am I doing that again? And that happened, and I was upset about that. Am I repeating that? Like, and then the future. And none of this, by the way, is relevant to like,
I would say our brain creates tragic dramas about the past and sci-fi horror about the future.
Right. Well, and so that's a good example. I was going to say none of this works for policy. No one's saying you're going to make monetary policy by ignoring the last several quarters.
Yeah.
That's different. But when you look at like end times thinking. You can actually look. It's funny to make a point about ignoring the past by looking at the past, but many generations across many different parts of the world before the world, remember, could communicate with itself. It's only very recently that we could communicate across continents. You had end times thinking in multiple different continents, right? You had statues and texts built about how this was the last generation. And we have that now plugged in with some new shit that some of it is like, whoa, what's going to happen with AI?
Now.
You get it. But underneath that, you have to know that we've been talking this way to ourselves forever.
Yeah.
So maybe it's, 37% more relevant to some of these supercomputers. Maybe. Or maybe we also can unlock like that's so end times thinking, think about the past, or only living for the future, which I do think is served more. I think capitalism has an incentive to serve you on that. Live on debt, hope things get better later, give all your money and time away to these corporations. Like I think there's reasons that we're serviced with that, but underneath that is, and there's books about the evolutionary biology of this, that like the ones that survived did more future thinking.
Yeah, that's the issue.
But now we're overserved for that, and I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. And do you draw on it a lot? Do you meditate? Do you do any sort of, or is it just one of these things of like, fucking, dude, don't forget?
I don't meditate anymore. I had a period of time where I tried meditating, and it was like cool, but it didn't do a ton for me.
Yep.
But I do think of it with like nature and breaks. Like I grew up backpacking and hiking, and that's a place for me where I enjoy that. And like I was just out in Utah. Like I'm picturing you in shorts, and I'm gonna go on the record as betting that you have hairy legs. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna confirm or deny.
You don't need to,
because I'm patrolling your appearance obsession.
You don't. Yeah, I'm a fucking comedian.
You are a comedian.
Yeah.
So to me, being several days, whatever you want to call it, like, but away and in nature always works well for me, and I try to do that regularly. So I don't think of it as like 20 minutes of meditation, but I do think like,
I think
2-3 days,
all the same. Yeah.
Like, and with my job, whatever, but like 2-3 days actually off the phone and no news alerts and none of that, and being in a place of nature that's also our lived reality. Like, if you can get there, you know, this is also reality.
Yeah, there's too many realities.
Respect.
That's the issue. I enjoyed this, and I also think people are gonna like you more after hearing this.
I mean, it doesn't matter what people like.
I know you act like it doesn't matter, and as always, I'll end the podcast by saying it's just synapses. And our guest has been Ari Melber, and he's on at 6:00 every night Eastern on MSNBC.
We about to light one up for Ari.
You know why? Because he speak English.
The Beat and Substack and YouTube and probably Twitter. And his OnlyFans is better than you think. Ari Melber.
Thanks, Neal.
You got it, buddy.